I love forgotten racing games. I've spent a decent part of my childhood on the internet hunting for the most obscure racing games you could possibly think of, and there's been some I truly loved. For example, I loved the Cobra 11 franchise and the Toka Race Driver series, but the game we'll be talking about today has truly been completely forgotten, and that's a shame. Ondarun. This game is unlike any other game that I've ever played, and no one will ever play Ondarun again because it shut down in 2016. Now, the footage for this game is incredibly scarce, so hopefully you guys will forgive me if the video quality isn't the best. I'm not even sure how to describe Ondarun. It was a very simple game, and yet it was by far the best multiplayer team management racing game that I've ever played. I guess the closest comparison I can find is Top Drives, but even then, Ondarun was quite a bit different. Now, Ondarun was a browser game, so when you first registered on their site, you instantly got assigned to one of the lowest divisions. You then had to buy one of the thousands of cars the game had to offer, recruit your driver, set up your car for the upcoming events, and wait. The thing that allowed the game to have so many different cars, pretty much anything from a McLaren F1 LM to a Mazda 626, was the fact that the cars were just JPEGs, but they all had their own characteristics. Depending on the stock stats of the car would be assigned a level, and then you could buy better parts and level your car up. There was even a really cool bonus where the least used cars from the showroom would give you a cash bonus at the end of each race. There was even an auction house where you could buy cars from other players, but you had to be careful because some of those cars were often in terrible shape and you'd have to spend a lot of money repairing them before being able to be competitive with them. The races were, once again, very simple. You had no direct input into the race, but you could prepare really well for them. Every single player who registered would automatically receive their own racetrack, and in the division you were in, there would be 24 players in total, and each day there would be a race on one of the players' tracks, all of which were built differently. For each race you would have to assign a car and a driver, but you also had to check on the surface of the tracks and the weather. There were multiple different tires you could use, from normal tires that would be destroyed on off-road surfaces to tires that would be much better on rain. You could even select how aggressive your driver would be. More aggressive driving would often lead to quicker lap times, but the risk of wrecking out and totaling your car was far bigger. The drivers were a unique aspect of Ondarun as well. You started with an absolute noob, and by making them race you would level them up, and then you could put the points you earned by leveling up into multiple skill traits, like not wrecking out every single race. In case the driver had a crash, well, they would be put on medical leave. But let's get back to the races, which were fantastic, even though you had no input during the race. While they did eventually introduce a screen where you could see all of the super low quality cars on the track, before that there was a text appearing for every single lap, which documented what was going on in the race. Unfortunately, I could only find this one from my old video on Ondarun, but hopefully it shows how unique and ultimately fun this game was. By winning races you would of course get money, which you could then use on buying better parts, better cars, and also training your drivers. But once all the players in your division hosted races, the top few players would be promoted into higher leagues with quicker cars and better opponents, and so progress in Ondarun was difficult but satisfying. There were multiple servers you could race on, all tracking different statistics, and the later seasons also introduced a new transport system where you had to arrange your cars, drivers, and parts to be transported to the location of each race beforehand, but there was also a mobile version which, from what I remembered, was unfortunately not very well optimized. I played a lot of Ondarun back in 2011 and 2012, but after starting my YouTube channel I focused more on Car Town and eventually stopped playing Ondarun. It was a shame because all these years later I feel like I could appreciate Ondarun a lot more, but it's gone forever now. I was actually quite surprised to see that Ondarun had a pretty long lifespan, and it ultimately shut down in August of 2016 after months of server difficulties. I would love to see Ondarun or a game like Ondarun return. Screw the shiny graphics, just bring back a game that's simple but so addicting once you start playing it. So, while Ondarun has unfortunately been pretty much forgotten by everyone, I still hope that someday we get a game like it once again. Thank you guys so much for watching. Now, have you ever heard of or played Ondarun? If not, did you like the concept of the game? In any case, please subscribe to the channel for more content like this. My name is Jerry, and hopefully I'll see you next time. Take care.